The concept of Africa breaking up to merge with India stems from a geological theory predicting that, over millions of years, parts of East Africa could drift and eventually collide with the Indian subcontinent due to tectonic movements. This theory is part of the broader understanding of plate tectonics, where Earth's continents and ocean floors are in constant motion, slowly shifting and reshaping over time. Why understanding tectonic movements matters. Tectonic movement explains many natural phenomena, such as earthquakes, volcanic activity, and mountain building. By studying tectonic movement, scientists can understand and potentially predict earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, as well as understand Earth's past and future evolution. In essence, tectonic movement is Earth's way of recycling its crust and shaping its surface, providing a powerful reminder of the dynamic nature of our planet. Here's a deeper breakdown of how tectonic movements work. 1. Structure of the Earth. Crust, Earth's outer layer, divided into plates, is thin and solid but brittle. Mantle. Below the crust is the mantle, a much thicker layer made of semi-solid rock that can flow over long periods, similar to a very slow-moving liquid. Core. Beneath the mantle is the core, with an outer layer of molten metal and a solid inner core. The core's heat drives convection currents in the mantle. 2. Convection currents, the driving force. The mantle is heated by the core, causing hot material to rise towards the crust, cool, and sink again in a cycle known as a convection current. These currents push and pull on the tectonic plates above, causing them to slowly move. This movement is typically a few centimeters per year, roughly the rate at which fingernails grow. 3. Types of tectonic plate boundaries. Tectonic plates interact in three main ways, creating different geological features and activities. Divergent boundaries, spreading centers. At these boundaries, plates move apart. Molten rock from the mantle rises to fill the gap, creating new crust as it cools. This process forms mid-ocean ridges, like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and rift valleys on land, such as the East African Rift. Convergent boundaries, collision zones. Here, plates move toward each other. When an oceanic plate meets a continental plate, the denser oceanic plate is forced beneath in a process called subduction, leading to volcanic activity and forming mountain ranges like the Andes. When two continental plates collide, they crumple and form large mountain ranges, such as the Himalayas, where the Indian plate meets the Eurasian plate. Transform boundaries, sliding boundaries. Plates slide past each other horizontally at transform boundaries, creating friction. This friction occasionally causes earthquakes. A famous example is the San Andreas Fault in California. 4. The supercontinent cycle. Over hundreds of millions of years, the continents have drifted, collided, and split due to tectonic movement, forming supercontinents like Pangaea, which existed around 300 million years ago. Currently, we're in a phase where continents are more spread out, but in the future, it's expected they will come together again to form another supercontinent. 5. Tectonic hotspots and volcanoes. Some tectonic features, like hotspots, are not located along plate boundaries. Hotspots occur where a plume of hot material rises through the mantle, melting through the crust to create volcanoes. The Hawaiian Islands, for example, were formed by a hotspot as the Pacific plate moved over it. 6. Earthquakes and plate tectonics. Earthquakes are sudden releases of energy caused by the movement of tectonic plates. They usually happen near plate boundaries, where friction builds up as plates push against each other. When this friction is suddenly overcome, the plates shift, releasing energy in the form of seismic waves, which we feel as an earthquake. 7. The future of plate tectonics. Scientists predict that in about 200 million years, East Africa might split from the main African continent along the East African Rift, forming a new ocean. The movement of the tectonic plates also suggests that continents will continue to drift, potentially forming a new supercontinent, sometimes referred to as Pangaea Proxima. Here's a breakdown of the process. 1. Rifting in East Africa. the East African Rift is a tectonic boundary zone where the African plate is splitting into two smaller plates, the Nubian plate to the west and the Somali plate to the east. As this rifting continues, it could eventually form a new ocean that separates Eastern Africa from the rest of the continent. 2. Movement towards India. The Somali plate, along with parts of Eastern Africa, would drift eastward due to tectonic forces. Meanwhile, India, part of the Indo-Australian plate, continues its northward movement, which initially caused the Himalayan mountain formation when it collided with the Eurasian plate millions of years ago. 3. Long-term merger. Over tens of millions of years, if tectonic forces continue along the current path, the drifting segment of East Africa might eventually come closer to India. This potential future merger would be part of a constantly reshaping Earth, as predicted in supercontinent cycles where continents collide and break apart over hundreds of millions of years. This scenario highlights Earth's dynamic crust and the unpredictable, powerful forces beneath our feet. The East African Rift is one of the few places on Earth where you can visibly observe such tectonic activity, and it gives scientists insights into the future of continental movement. However, this process is extremely slow, taking tens of millions of years to lead to significant changes.